Hello everybody, I am back once again, and today we are going to talk about camera equipment. And since we have a lot to talk about, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First off, let's talk about my camera. The camera that I use is the Canon 60D. Now that is the older, more expensive brother of the Canon T3i. Now it costs about $100 more at about $900. Now, there's questions as to why that extra cost is reasonable. That depends on what you do and what you're planning to use your camera for. First off, the Canon 60D has a little bit of a better build. When you hold it in your hands, when you're controlling it, it feels more comfortable. Also, the Canon 60D is considered a professional camera. Why that matters to you just depends on what you're planning to use your camera for. If you get a professional camera, you qualify for the Canon Professional Services Program. Now, now, the reason that's important is because that entitles you to certain benefits. It entitles you to better customer service. I mean, basically, if your camera is going to be your important source of income, you want to protect it like you protect your money. If, however, you're somebody who's more of a hobbyist, if maybe filmmaking is something that you don't know if you want to do yet, or if you're just completely under budget and maybe you don't plan on using your camera all that much, you want to give it to a camera operator, then get a T3i. So now that we're talking about the camera, we're going to move on to the camera lenses. So the first lens that we're going to talk about here is the Canon 50mm f1.8. Now, if you're new to camera lingo and you don't know what the heck f1.8 means, all you need to know is that f1.8 means really good low light. Really good low light performance. If you just can't afford the equipment necessary to light up your set and you have to rely on either natural lighting or just, lamps and flashlights, a really good low light lens will help you in the long run. It costs about $120. Now that's, in the lens world, that's incredibly cheap. That is, if you're somebody who owns any type of Canon camera and you don't own this, you are crazy. Because, like I said, it's really sharp just in terms of the price. And again, it's incredible. It's super affordable. Okay, this is the Canon 50mm f1.8. And obviously the first thing that you notice is that the image has jumped forward. If an actor's delivery is the most important thing that you want to capture, 50mm, great lens for that. It's what we used for almost all of our over-the-shoulder shots in episode 1. The only problem that I consider with the 50mm is that it's not good in tight spaces. It's a very close camera lens that if you're ever in a situation where you've only got 2 feet of space, you're going to get somebody's nose, and that's about it. So for that kind of stuff, you want to use a wider lens, which is what we're going to talk about next. This guy right here is the Sigma 30 1.4. The glass is incredibly sharp. This is my favorite lens, mainly just because of the fact that the picture quality that I get with this guy is amazing. So back with the 30mm, which as you can see is the lens that we started this video out with. And as you can see, the frame just got a lot bigger. It's really good if you need to establish where a person is. When you move up in focal length, when you go to like 50mm or 85mm, the more that your hands shake, the crazier that frame gets and the more disorienting it gets for the person who's watching it. Whereas a 30mm, when you tend to move a little bit, the frame moves very smoothly. It doesn't move a whole lot. Nobody kind of loses focus as to what's the focus of the picture. And yeah, it's really good. The only problem that I have with it is that it's expensive. If you buy the Sigma 30mm 1.4 new, it's going to cost you $500 or $10 under. And of course, now let me make a suggestion first. That's if you buy it new. If you buy it used, it'll cost you around like $370 or somewhat. Now, for some people that might turn them off because they're a bit scared of buying used equipment. Camera lenses are one of the few things on the market right now that you can buy used and be fairly certain of that they're going to operate good, that they're going to be okay when you get them. I bought this guy used from fredmiranda.com and I paid a much lower price for it than if I had bought it new. Anyhow, now that we've said that, let's go ahead and move on to the last lens in the bunch. This is the Rokinon 85mm telephoto lens. Now, it's 1.4 aperture, so again, great low light performance. And really, that's about all the lenses that I buy anymore. As if they have really low aperture numbers, those are the ones that you tend to get. And this is, like I said, it's a telephoto lens. And if you're new to camera lingo, all that means is that if you're filming from over here and what you need to film is way out over there, put this lens on. It's going to zoom in on it. It's a very cheap lens to get. It'll cost you about $280, and that's buying it new. The most comparable lens to this is from Canon, and it costs around $420. So it's $140 cheaper than the most comparable lens. Now, the reason why it's that cheap is that it doesn't come without a few sacrifices. The aperture adjustment ring is manual. If you listen real closely, you can hear the clicks. Now, most camera lenses come with a chip on the circuit mount here. That's actually not a huge sacrifice for me. You know, I don't mind doing it. And plus, not to mention, I usually don't have to change it in the middle of a shoot. So I just kind of put it on a number and I'm good for a good long while. So now that we've talked enough about it, we're going to swap it to see how it looks. So this is the 85mm lens, and as you can see, much closer on my face. We have zoomed in a whole lot from where we were before. One of my buddies who mainly does cinematography, it's great for him because he can get a nice fuzzy background back here. As you can see, I mean, I don't have to move my hand more than a foot for it to just fall out of focus. And it's really great. Yeah, if you want to get that nice aesthetic look of somebody's face being very clear and the rest of the background just being fuzzy and out of focus, this lens will actually help you out a lot. Now, of course, that doesn't come without disadvantages. The problem that I find with this lens is, of course, like I said, the more you zoom in on something and the more your hands shake, the crazier that thing is going to get. It's like watching The Bourne Identity. Really, I mean, if you've seen those movies, you know how crazy that camera gets at times. And sometimes it can throw people off. If somebody's prone to motion sickness, that's probably not what you want to do to them. And also, since this area of focus is so small, since it's so shallow depth of field, if you want to be technical, all I really have to do is move forward a little bit and I'm out of focus. Move back, okay, now I'm back in focus, but it doesn't take that much to kind of lose the clarity. So you really have to be good about pulling focus and you have to be very on your toes about adjusting that focus ring. All these lenses of mine that I have no regrets about buying them. I managed to knock down the prices here and there, and I mean, yeah, they're just great things to have, and I recommend buying them if you can get your hands on them. So now that I've said that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. So once again, guys, thank you guys for watching. New updates every week, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Take it easy.